this week, we're going to understand that we already have a fairly good understanding of Atzilus, of the world of Atzilus, using the metaphor which we are already familiar with. And so with that, let's start reading inside. Okay, Kayach, 28. Kayach means strength. So everybody that learns this chapter is going to gain strength. Now, Vanimshal Medugmazu, and the lesson from the model that we learned in the previous week, when we understand the three vessels, that our brain is an antenna, it's a vessel, and Liba, our respiratory system, is a vessel for a spiritual energy, and our kavda, and our liver, and our digestive system, together with our circulatory, the blood circulating, is the nefesh. It's the third vessel. It's a vessel for an energy. But there are this is in general. There's a lot of details. Al kapanim de'era hachachma da'atzilus mitzad atzilusa matmusa eramatzil harazeh ke'era seichel haruchni atzmei shenunshach me'etzem ke'chachma. So the power of insight in the world of Atzilus, the way it comes from the essence of God, it's similar to the idea of spiritual intellect, and just intelligence itself, which comes from the essence of the power of Chachma, of insight, which is the essence of the soul. When the power of thinking is still in its source, mamish, let's use a second metaphor. Second metaphor is like a coal that's inside the flame that's inside the coal, and then you reveal it, you blow on it, and the fire comes out. So you have like the essence of potential of intelligence, and when it integrates in the brain, it starts functioning. Or we've mentioned before, like you have this essential ability to want something, and then you start to want something, and it just comes out. Which comes from the essential rotzen, in the original man. In other words, you have the way the original man is planned out, and it's basically what is man about? It's an essential idea of being able to want, and then that want becomes triggered into specific wants, and those specific wants power specific emotions, and then those emotions power thought, speech, and action. Now, hagam shezeu kayach mare v'gaven bilvad, only that when intellectual thinking becomes actualized, or the potential ability to want actually becomes a want, it's similar, like the metaphor of a color. We spoke about color before, being in Kaira. We spoke before, being in Kaira Deris Meresh, that God calls all the generations from the head. Which what does that refer to? That actually, in essence, is Shazo Esa spheres, that's God creating the 10 spheres of Atzilus, which the humans become the vessels of them. Shiatsu Mehelim Adam Kadmon, the 10 spheres come from the potential to want things from Adam Kadmon, from the original man, the original idea of man, Shuhu Gilui Rotzen B'davar Nivdal, which man has the ability to create a want for something that's outside of him. So as you test, which we spoke about in the chapter 20, at the end of chapter 19. Im calls are nevertheless Nikra Eses Spheres Blima. Even though the 10 spheres are sort of come out like a flame, like a color, like a potential that's activated, they are still called 10 spheres without a ma, without a what, without a definition. Bli muhus, without an internal definition and dying yet, that hasn't happened. Even though a color is also something of the essence, she actually is governed the davar be'etzem it's not possible that a color is going to be referring, or it's going to be representing something that's exactly the opposite, meaning to say, in nature, an apple is white, which shows on sweetness. In other words, in nature, when things are colored, the colors actually match the content of the objects which they're coloring. Because white shows more on kindness, so therefore the experience is going to be sweetness. Shabbai. So v'chein aseichel v'rotzen mata klape chesed. Now, the light of intellect and the light of want that sides towards kindness, gam shuhu be'inyan nivdal machar shum mer el ha'etzem, even though the want and the intellect goes on something, it analyzes or wants something outside of itself, nevertheless, it shows on the essence. L'chein kol ishavos eres des asfirat hein bain bebechinas esietz atzmen. In other words, the message of this intellect or this want, it shows on the messenger of the essence. So the creation of these undefined 10 powers are really a signature of the essence, the matzilan of the one who's making them come into existence. V'kamoi, Shem Ab, the name of God, which counts numerically to 72, it basically feeds the light of insight of the world of Atzilus in a revealed way. It's a name which shows on the essence of insight, the Adam Kadmon of the original man. Similarly, the name of God, which is spelt in a way that the number that numerically ends up being 63, and it basically shows on the light of comprehension the Adam Kadmon of the original man. We already had this in the first chapter, and these two functions are really called Ab 72 and 63, Shelifnei Esas Spheres Atzilus, which exist before the 10 spheres of Atzilus. Nikra Shem is Hamatzal, and they're called the names of the one who creates Atzilus. And just like we learned last week that the last grade of the spiritual spirit of the spirit, Shemakusha el Tchilas Hisavas Hatzura. One second. Tchilas Hisavas Ha'er Vatsura Bechli. One second. The last grade of the spirit, it's connected to the beginning of the vessel hachumra, chumris, which is the most spiritual aspect of the physical canal, like we've mentioned before. That's what integrates. The lowest grade of spirituality integrates with the highest grade of physicality, the dam and blood, shua nefesh, which is the soul. That's why blood needs to be a certain temperature, because the nutrients in the blood and whatever's in the blood become heated up and they create a certain steam, and that steam is the most spiritual, most refined, physically refined aspect of the blood, and the soul is able to integrate with that, and that's why blood needs to be hot. And also the lowest level of the power of growth connects with the highest level of physical growth. Va'ain, the lowest level of sight, connects with the most refined aspect of the eye, umayach, and the brain. Now, the vessel which limits the light of inside of Atzilus, this is like the metaphor of the light of intellect, which is already integrated in the physical brain, because the physical brain receives only from the most coarse of the light of intellect. So therefore the vessel is able to limit that intellect, besides also changing the nature of the way the cognition functions, from spiritual cognition to something concrete. So to the insight of wisdom, when it gets enclosed and integrated, interfaced with the brain, v'nikra chachma meicha, and that's why the synonymous insight is called brains. But when you say brains, you're referring to the vessel. She'az mitzad bechinas hakli hachma, because of the vessel of insight, hu ba b'shem mitzias davar seichel hanikra his chachmus davar ma. That's why the intellect can actually comprehend a specific thing, davar ma, specific thing, but prat, specifically.
Is this size better for you? Or do you want even bigger? You want it bigger?
Yeah, no, this is good. V'chein hamides haruchnim beliba, and also the emotions, spiritual emotions, are in the heart and the respiratory system. V'nefesh haruchnis bechavda, and the spiritual spirit is in the liver. V'chein inyan gimel shiltin le'ela. And that's what we mean when we say there's like 3 powers above. What we're referring to is bechinas gimel kelim klal, the 3 general vessels, the nefesh ruach neshama to the neshama, the nefesh ruach neshama to the 3 spirits, the zah of the 7 emotions of Atzilus, the zah da Atzilus, neshama shu bechinas hameichin. So when we say neshama, which is breath in Hebrew, it refers to the brain, the chachma ubina of insight and comprehension inside Zoh, inside the 6 midas, because the 6 midas have like their own, they're like their own whole personality. So they are in the brain, v'ruach, and the wind is beliba, is in the heart and in the respiratory. The eres ha'atzilus, and also the vessels of the letters of the lights of Atzilus, Shilzinian Dalet Shem, is basically, there's 2 ways of looking at Kabbalah, 2 paths of metaphors. So you have the path of the Eitz Chaim, of Reb Chaim Vital, and the Arizal is his teacher, which we use the metaphor of a body. And then there's a different metaphor, there's a different path of explaining what's going on spiritually, is the Ramak, who uses the metaphor of a language. So therefore, we're going back and forth different metaphors, because really the story really is a mixture of both of them. And this is the idea. So basically, the letters of Atzilus, because now we're looking at spirituality as a language, the language of God, choosing in Darat Shemes Av Vesag Atzilus. This refers to the 4 names of God that are spelt either 72 or 63 of Atzilus. Shunikar Kelim, the Esesphere is Atzilus, Hamagbilim, Ha'er. These are vessels for the 10 spheres of Atzilus, which limit the light to mitzamtzema and focus it, Lufi, because like we said before, Shemihis Avos Ha'er, from the thickening of the light, Nasa Akli, vessel is made, because energy and matter are really one. So when you thicken and you focus energy, energy, you get matter, right? And the matter is just a vessel to limit the light. Like it says in the Tree of Life from Reb Chaim Viltal, as he heard from the Arizal. Basically, this is the tangible of the light. When the light is seen as tangible, and it's like something, it's a what, you can say what it is. Like all this is known, and it's enough has been said to the understanding. There are two names, the two names of God, one spelled like ends up 72, 63. Really, there's before Atzilus and there's also after Atzilus, these names. Shehena Kalim. So after Atzilus, we're really referring to the vessels, Hamagbilim, which limit. So therefore now, it tells us how to pray. Hamachaven b'shemes, when a person prays, Machaven b'mokar ha'eres, your intent, maybe we should, I'll explain it in a second. I'll give an example. You have to think about the source of the vessels, the source of the lights. When you are in the Sidurim, when it says, when you're thinking about the name of God, spelled 72, you're thinking about the Mokar al-Chachma, the source of the light of insight. Even though the central theme of Ab is insight, but you're not. That's not the point. The point is to connect to the source of the creator of that. And automatically, you also, by thinking about the source, the vessel is also included in that intent. What's the idea of a vessel? The idea is to bring it below. Right? But delivery system. It's a delivery system. That's what a vessel is. Medalin, what I just said is enough for the understanding. And what we just did is telling you how to think about the names of God when you say the 18 blessings of the Shemona Esrei prayer. Because these two concepts are dependent on each other. Because the source of the vessels, Hamagbilim, which limit, Mishemes the Atzmos Hamatzu, they also come from the names of the essence of the creator. So the source of the lights is also the source of the vessels. Kamishes Bare, as I'm going to explain, Vidal, and this is enough. Vahainu Mashakotsu de Karina Loin Yudsfiran. And this is what it says, that we call the 10 spheres, Lachza Ulan Haga, in order to present himself, to communicate, to show himself, Lan Haga, and to run the world. And why they called Tikkunim? In the Zohar, why they called Tikkunim? Fixers. Because they are Hemechinas Akelim, they are vessels. La'eris Atzilus, to the lights of Atzilus. Basically, fixing the eye with the vessel means that the vision will be able to that the physical vision will be able to see much more. Oh, this is through the device of seeing far, which is a scope. So using a physical scope, what does that allow you to do? To see further in the physical. So even the eye, what does the eye allow you to do? To see the physical. Kach tikun, that's why it's called a fixer. Kach tikun, his pashas riya ruchni is fixing the spiritual seeing. Alidem, so it's clear ayin agashmi. This is through a physical eye. Etc. And as explained in another place, through the vessels that limit, through the vessels that allow the divine light to go lower and lower, that they could be experienced on a lower level. Just like the vessel of the brain, that what the brain understands, will be able to bring it down to the emotions, or to be able to use that intellect to be able to bestow emotions to another person. And that's why a person who may have a partially damaged brain, what the brain allows them to do is to integrate those ideas with the emotions. So a person with a partially damaged brain may be much more intellectual, but because the physical brain is damaged, the vessel allows the ideas to spread to the heart. They're not able to bring it to the heart. And therefore they may be dangerous because of that. So we are very fortunate that we have a physical brain, because that allows us to integrate it into our emotions, that we could actually, feel something and be able to help others. So through the vessel of the heart and the respiratory system, that is actually a vessel for Ava Chesed, love and kindness. Kindness is more of the essence, and love is already action. Aruchni, the spiritual one. If you have a person who has a proper brain and a proper heart, then the emotional actually lead to a delivery to a receiver. Like it's known. That's why the whole idea of tikkunin, you fix it. Why? Because it fixes everything and it works. Because it's going to go from Atzilus to Bria. That's what it means to be seen and experienced by people. But if we're looking from the vantage point of the essence, so then 10 spheres have no definition. They're just potentials. As I'm going to explain in another place. Now, if you just bear me 1 second, I'm going to go to the bookshelf and I'm going to bring a siddur, and I'm going to show you how we have intent in the 18 blessings of the Shemona Esrei. So I'll just bring a siddur.